A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We have our guests joining us, Sift Kaur Samra, Deepa Malik, and they are going to be in conversation with Karishma Singh.
I have these two ladies here with me as we talk about Nari Shakti on Times Now. Deepa, I want to, get straight into it. You were there at the special session of the Parliament. You attended that session and you spoke about the transformative vision, after hearing the speech of our Prime Minister. Do you think this bill can really bring in something concrete for our sports persons, and especially when we talk about our para-athletes and, people with disabilities?
I think any representation of women in administrative world can bring about a shift in the narrative. We just heard Sania also speak, and the moment women have started participating and winning medals, and the younger women have now more role models to look up to. Whenever an opportunity is being served which results into achievements and success, it definitely inspires not one, not two, but many more generations to come. So when a bill like this will be passed and there will be more women representation, and I think when the younger women will see their mothers in the workforce, it is going to expand their aspirations. And when the little boys, see that their mothers are taking decisions and value addition decisions, and the nation is looking up to them, they will also have a different way to look at women when they grow up. The whole ecosystem gets impacted and it's going to be a ripple effect.
Absolutely. Sift, I want to come to you. You are such a young athlete. You're an Olympian. You've won multiple medals for our country, so many laurels for our country. When you look at Nari Shakti today, what are your first thoughts? Do you think we are talking about real women empowerment here?
I feel like nowadays women are really powerful, because in the sports category, if I see that there are a lot of women that have won a lot of medals and personally made a world records, that we will feel that, oh, for me, I had a Asian Game gold medal, and when my parents proudly say that it's first ever gold medal for India with a world record, and I think that is the very big achievement as a women that we made it, and for a country. Despite for me, I think every woman has a different power. Like for my family, my mother, the way she controls all the things, the way she handles my sport, the way she handles my education and all. I think it's quite big deal, but I think only the women can do that.
Absolutely, and I don't think many in this room would know that Sift calls herself an accidental shooter, because she was studying to become a doctor, but then she decided to choose shooting over, doing her MBBS. Tell us a little about that, when you told your family about this decision of choosing shooting over being a doctor. What was their reaction and how supportive was your family?
So I qualified for the NEET exam, and I got a medical college in Faridkot, Punjab, and I was selected side by for the ISF World Cup senior, and everyone was happy because it was my first international senior, and side by I also got a seat, which is very difficult to get into the medical seat, but because I was not able to fill up the attendance of the medical, you won't, we are talking about the Nari Shakti, but here my dad plays a very important role. He was the one who decided ki nahi, you should go for sports rather than going for a medical. He's the one who just discussed with my mother. He took a lot of, you can say, opinions from the people, but I think very few of them told that you have a lot of doctors, engineers, but you don't have a lot of sports person in our India society. So I think she's doing great and she should play. So my dad was the one who went to the college and took out my name and said ki she will become a sports person.
And thank God he did that, because otherwise we wouldn't have had Sift Kaur Samra, the shooter, the Olympian. So I think kudos to your father for taking that decision.
I totally agree.
Deepa, I want to come to you. We heard the PM talk about the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam, and he said the bill is not a favor, it is a right. What do you think about, rights versus opportunities when it comes to the field of sports?
When I was coming to this conclave and I had to speak, so I just did a bit of research. And my research said that very small countries, we are calling ourselves the biggest economy now, one of the top 5, and we are the global leaders, and the whole world is looking up to India. But I think if the representation of women is given to them as their right and not as a favor, we definitely align with the SDG goals which are there, which talk about equality. And it makes us look good as a democratic country. And I was very surprised that smaller countries like Rwanda, Cuba, Nicaragua, Mexico, UAE, they can boast about 50% plus women. And about 40% is Sweden, Finland, Norway, Spain, New Zealand, Iceland, Belgium, Denmark, Netherlands. Why India should be left behind? Aren't we now at a stage where we are the global leaders, and women participation cannot be ignored at all?
But there's still a lot of opposition to it. What would you want to say
it
to
kind
them who
of-
are talking about, opposing this bill?
Yeah, there are talks of reservations within reservations, and any topic which is brought. I think I wish that everything gets into a healthy discussion and then the result comes out positive. Because when women are actually becoming part of decision making right from the grassroots levels, and even in the panchayat we have seen that women have taken on the leadership roles, the focus has shifted from the elite priorities to basic needs like water, sanitation, healthcare, child welfare. These things which probably don't get noticed by men very often because women are directly involved. They feel the need of period leave. They understand the need of maternity leave, and how important it is for the health and nutrition of a mother because she has to bring another life into the world. So there are many aspects. For example, when I was playing sports and I play in severe disability, there was not even an awareness that a woman need for catheterization is different than the male need of catheterization. The medical assistance and the equipments that a male needs does not really need a bed or a privacy of a room because their organs are different. But when a woman like me came for the first time, I demanded a room with a bed because I have to lie down and then do my catheterization to ease my urine drills. And if I'm playing on a full bladder, or I'm playing with the worry of a diaper which can overflow while I'm doing my throws and I'm performing, that's not good mental well-being, and that is something which only a woman can talk about. And I think all these voices, when have come into administrative suggestions, you can see the difference. Deepa Malik made a medal in 2016, the first ever for India. And within next 2 Paralympics, 14 more medals by women were won. So there were policy changes.
Absolutely, and hopefully there are going to be more positive policy changes. Sif, let's come to you. When we talk about an athlete or achieving medals or laurels for the country, of course there is family support, there's government support, but there is also a need of an able federation that needs to be there. That constant support needs to be there. As a woman athlete, as a woman sports person, have you ever felt or hesitated in reaching out to someone in your federation, or has there been any moment where you felt that, oh, there should have been a woman, I would have felt more comfortable, or do you think the Shooting Federation is doing enough to have that balance?
Yeah, I feel that in this case, the NRA is very good because we have a lot of women's sport. Like in federation also, we have a lot of women staff. Foreign coaches, we have a women coaches, and then for physios and SNCs, like mostly people think that for the SNC workouts, they're only the male, those who are good in building your bodies and gyms and all. But no, we have a women also, and they're great, and I feel for that the NR is doing really great. We don't feel like ki, oh, this is all around the male. It's like we have a proper kind of female staff also, that we can just go and help, like ask for any help. Ki, some days are there when you are on your periods and you have a tournament, and it's like ki, you don't know what to do because it's a heavy pain and you have to perform. At that time, we do have a very good staff that is always available with the hot packs and the things you like. So I think that is a very good thing, and for that we are very lucky in Shooting Federation.
I'm very curious, since you brought that up, how do you navigate during that period? It's not something that is in our control, you know. So when it's a big tournament, it can happen even at the Olympic stage. So how do you navigate during that period, and how much does it impact your performance if it were to happen on a big game day?
It depends upon the person or person. For me, I think it is, because I got a very like severe backaches and stomach ache. But then also I have my like all the staff around me. If I have a very back ache like on my match day, so they take good, like we can't have a medicines, but then also they try to give me the things that are good for your body. For example, magnesiums and all, bananas. They proper made also a one seminar for only the female athletes, that if you have a tournament and by chance you got on your periods, these are the all things you have to have, like the nutritionist and the physiotherapist. So that is good that you have a sport, and mostly though they tell us to take a rest, a good rest.
Everyone who just sees the medals needs to understand the struggle behind those medals and what actually happens on a game day. But Deepa, coming to you, you've been a sports person. You have also been an administrator. You made various changes in the Paralympic Committee of India. You took it to heights that nobody possibly ever could. But what has been more difficult, being a sports person, a sportswoman, or an administrator? Where were your more challenges?
I think when you are an athlete, you're focusing on a very structured way of training, and you're only focusing on yourself, your training, your performance, your requirements, your sport. But when you transit into an administrator, you have to have knowledge about all the sports, because you are going to be making that decision, finally signing the paper. You are going to be part of the annual competition calendar, the demand of the budget. So you have to up your game. You have to gain more knowledge. And for me, I was a homemaker who then, out of the need of proving abilities beyond disabilities and bringing up a daughter in disability, had to carve a path of finding my own identity beyond the wheelchair, or beyond being called a dependent person. And in that journey, I wasn't somebody who had gone to office or conducted seminars. So I actually enrolled myself in the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs to learn. I educated myself at the age of 52, 53. Did a one-year course on what good governance looks like, how to call for meetings, what are the processes, how do you draft minutes of the meeting. So I learned, and it was a lot of learning. So if you ask me which was more difficult, each one had their own learning processes. But definitely it was more rewarding and more giving. And a personal level of satisfaction when you work as an administrator and you can bring the change that you have always craved for as an athlete.
Well, absolutely. But Deepa, I also want to ask you, do you feel that sports administration is also male-dominated?
Yeah, that's why they had to bring in a bill saying that no, there is mandatorily some percent of women. And now you see the ecosystem thing. So whenever you are actually bringing in a law to initiate or to, to actually put it out there that yes, we need more women. And the result is showing. The moment you're seeing more women in the ecosystem, more athletes, more physios, more sports scientists, more volunteers, you see more women coming with a lot of faith, because see, 80% of India lives in rural areas. And when our girls are coming from far-fetched remote areas, the parents basically need to have that faith that there is going to be girls around there in the ecosystem, our daughters are going to be safe. And when a woman is there in administration, it brings about that faith. That yes, there is a female around to speak. And then, of course, new policies around women's safety in sports aligned with the POSH. So things have become better.
And hopefully they keep getting better. Sift, also let's talk about, this constant comparison of women athletes with male athletes. Shooting, while being an individual sport, there can still be comparisons. So what do you think about those comparisons? And do you think they have lessened with time, or do you think there's still a long way to go when we talk about bridging that gap, or stop drawing those parallels?
I feel in shooting itself, we don't compare. Like, for example, if we are comparing as an athlete, we never talk about that, oh, women have scored this much, oh, men have scored this much. It's like if men have had a great scores, if we are watching and we will be like, oh, like, for example, we have a lot of shooters, Aishwarya, Akhil, Swapnil, and when they do great, and we have, oh, they did great in that. And when it's like a female match, they also praise us that they are doing really great. So in shooting, I never heard that women are doing better or men are doing better. But I think outside the shooting, the world is always there for the comparison between male and females, and I don't know why, because it's just two different genders and they are individuals. It should be like that a person is doing great and we should just praise it, and we should just have it, oh, you did great, whether it's the women or whether it's the man.
But, we keep talking about equal rights for both men and women. Where do you stand on that? Not just from the prism of sport, but just overall. Do you think we are bridging that gap as well, or do you think we still have some time to go?
I think we are, but I think personally in small towns, cities, there we have to work more. But for me, I've seen that gap filling in my family, rather like my grandmother thinking of having a sons or having a grandsons at that time. But now, like in my family, I'm a joint family and we are 3 daughters in a house, and we have all 3 different fields. I am becoming I'm a sports person. My younger sibling, she is a veterinary doctor. So it's like in my family, I've seen that gap. My dad never told me that you are a female, you can't do it. It's always like I am more sportive rather than my brother. He's doing MBBS. But he's also like, Papa listens to you more than me. But I think in the major areas, we have to work more on the female rights and all, because everywhere in India, we don't have that education. But I think that now, because the mothers are raising their sons, that will be a great impact in the later of lives.
And I'm sure you help your brother getting his decisions done through you.
Yeah, I have a very good bonding with my brother, and it's like he's a younger to me, so he will be a great person, I know that.
Deepa, PT Usha was talking about Nari Shakti. She's also the first IOA female president, and she spoke about it being a necessary structural correction rather than just tokenism. Do you agree with her?
Absolutely agree with her, because but one thing I'm proud of, that even before IOA had a female president, the Paralympic Committee of India had a female president.
Deepa, let me just say this. If I were to tell your awards or your capabilities, this session would not be enough.
No. So definitely, I think we are talking a lot about giving women their deserving space in leadership. But then we should also talk about, rightly said, there should not just be a tokenism. Then their position should be respected. The decisions should be respected. They should not be as if, they have been done a favor. That, okay, you are sitting here and that's good enough. So just sit here and keep quiet. They should be accepted in the active decision making, and men should respect that and not disregard it as a favor. Because I think women are equally educated now.
Do you think the disrespect is still there?
Sometimes, it's. I have been there, and I have had a very amazing tenure, and but there have been instances where, when you are exercising your right of voice for something you believe in, they're called mood swings. But when a man is exerting their idea, or this is he knows how to stand strong and be assertive. So I think that is still there. कि घर से लड़के आई होगी. But things are changing fast. But there were many men in the team because there were a handful of women. In fact, it's now that they have mandated 4 women. But when I used to sit in my the board members, we were just 2 women, and we had men supporting us. Yeah.
Absolutely, and hopefully that keeps on changing, like I'm saying from the beginning. Sift, I want to come to you and talk to you about, when you look at yourself, you're very young. Like I said, you've already been an Olympian. You're obviously looking forward to the LA Olympics as well. But do you have your moments where you just sit down, look at yourself and be like, my God, I have made it this far and I'm so proud of myself, while, feeling like I still have a long way to go? Do you have conversations with your younger self, like we say?
I do, because I think that keeps you motivating. Like, I never thought of Olympics. I never thought of going into the sport. And I think being into the sports and breaking the world records and becoming Olympian, I think that was you say na ki you don't imagine it, but God's give you. It's like that. I didn't imagine it. I never thought of it, and I came so far away that now also when I feel like today I'm not feeling great. So I usually just check out my old pictures, and when we went for the Olympics, when we had a good memories with my friends, with my teammates, and that keeps me motivating me. So I really admire that you should go back into your memories and check it out, that what all fun you had and what all memories you made in your life.
And who keeps you motivated, or who inspires you? If there's anyone from the world of sports who's been your inspiration or your motivation, can you tell us?
I think a lot of people, but not from the sports, but my mother and my nanu, because my nanu is the one who keeps me saying ki kya bana, kya medal aaya. Every competition he will text, and he's like, mere dad se pehle he will be my nanu, who will be like, acha nahi kiya, aur karna tha, you should bring a gold medal, because he himself was a sports person, so he know how it feels like and all. But my mother, when I'm like feeling not good about my sports, or when I'm feeling not great, like later, I think in April, starting of April, I had my tournament, and it was not that great, so my mood was not good. So my mother came to Delhi to stay with me, and she's like, it's fine, it's going to be, humne itna socha nahi tha ki you would become an Olympian and going to a different part of the world. So I think it's my mother.
I think one thing that people don't realize is that sport has, and athletes especially, have more lows than they have highs in our world, and it's very, very important that you go through that phase as well to come out on top. But Sift, that was lovely hearing from you. We are running out of time, but Deepa, I want to come to you for our closing words. If there was one advice or one suggestion that you'd want to give to the policy makers, especially when we talk about persons with disabilities or our para-athletes, what would that be?
I think more than a suggestion, it would be a request that if it only goes to show the health of a nation or a society when you take care of women and you take care of persons with disability and the senior citizens. And when we talk about persons with disabilities, we are definitely talking about accessibility. And end-to-end accessibility becomes a right, because what we need is opportunity. We need equity rather than sympathy. So my advice would be that there are policies in place. There is intent written in every rule book that accessibility is a mandate. And I would also make that request to the management of this hotel, because when I arrived here, the ramp is between the 2 luggage belts. and everybody else enters through the main gate, and I have to enter through the luggage gate. Why give me that? This thing? It just needs a little ramp in front of the main gate, and I can also access with dignity along with the rest and not feel, a little discarded or find my way through the suitcases. So this is what my plea and my suggestion and my forever going request is. When policies are made, they should also be accounted for and executed with full honesty and in a diligent manner.
Well, when we have people like you who will take up every single cause for persons with disabilities, I think there will be a time when we will see all the changes that we want. Sift, quickly to you, your closing words. What would you want to say to anyone who is hearing, or your message to the young girls who want to take up sport, who want to become, the future Nari Shakti of our country? What would you say to them?
I would just say that you should never have a self-doubt. It's like if you believe in yourself, you will definitely gonna do it. There will be up and downs in your family, in your relatives, friends. It's like if you have it in your mind that I'm going to achieve it, you are definitely going to achieve it, and you can do it.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much to the both of you for this enriching conversation and taking out the time and being here and discussing Nari Shakti with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.